imagine you're playing, like, a massive multiplayer game, right? And there's this hidden mechanic where players can just legally vote to delete the game's core code, just completely shut the server down from the inside.
Which sounds like a glitch, but yeah, I see where you're going.
Right. And welcome to today's deep dive, because we are unpacking a stack of legal texts that argue international law has this exact same vulnerability. It's this concept called total treaty-making freedom.
Yeah, it basically suggests that the entire global order could theoretically, just legally abolish itself.
Which is wild. Like, how is that legally possible?
Well, we usually treat international laws as permanent structure, right?
Yeah.
Above nations. But really, it's entirely consent-based. There's no global police force. Sovereign states are the sole creators of the rules.
Okay, but wait, what about the really heavy stuff? Like the absolute prohibitions on torture or genocide? Those are called just cogens, right?
Right, just cogens.
Surely those are like a permanent moral barrier that countries can't just opt out of?
You'd think so, but no. Even those aren't eternal. They rely on opinio juris.
Which means what, exactly?
It's basically the present-day legal conviction of the global community.
Yeah.
So if the universal consensus shifts, if every state agrees to a new rule, the old one is legally erased.
Wait, so if the entire world just collectively agrees to abandon a fundamental moral right, international law just accepts it. There's no permanent higher ceiling.
Exactly. State consent is the only source of authority, so there's no material limit to what states can agree to.
Okay, so if they can change any rule, they could theoretically merge into a single world state.
Yes, and that is the ultimate logical extreme. Self-abolition of international law. Because if you do that, you lose the international law.
Right. It ceases to be between nations and just becomes one giant domestic legal system.
Precisely. The system dogmatically requires a plurality of sovereign subjects to function. If there's only one state, the whole framework just vanishes.
Which brings us to the really wild real-world mechanism from our sources. Deed 1400/98.
Oh, right. This one is fascinating.
And just to be super clear to you listening, we are not taking sides or endorsing the political validity of this obscure document. We are just impartially reporting on the theory here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just exploring the legal thought experiment it presents.
Right. So it involves the sale of a former NATO property, the Turin Barracks in Germany.
So normally when a state sells land, they transfer dominium. That's just basic private ownership. But the texts argue this specific deed transferred imperium.
Meaning actual sovereign power over the territory.
Right, because it was sold with all rights and obligations as a single unit. And here's the crazy part.
The infrastructure.
Yes. The sale included the connected utility and telecommunications networks like TKS Telepost.
So because it was sold as a unit, the texts argue the sovereign claim actually travels along those physical wires.
Exactly. And telecom networks cross borders. So the new sovereign claim bleeds into the neighboring territory.
It's literally like buying a single house. And because your power lines connect to the city grid, you legally absorb the whole city. And it just spreads country by country.
Yeah, it creates a global domino effect. Through treaty chains, these claims expand globally, merging everything into a single global treaty construct held by the buyer.
Okay, let's play this out to the end. If one sovereign absorbs the entire world via these networks, what happens to all the existing global treaties?
Well, they hit what is known as the self-contraction paradox.
Because the new sovereign inherits every legal position, right? Both sides of every treaty.
Exactly. And basic contract law says you cannot be in a legally binding contract with yourself.
Right, of course not. That doesn't make any sense.
So all those international obligations immediately lose their external binding effect. They dissolve into mere internal administrative rules.
Meaning you get a clean slate, a tabula rasa.
Yes. The new sovereign is totally unburdened by old debts or promises because there are literally no sovereign third parties left to enforce them. They can redesign the global order from scratch.
Wow. It really exposes how fragile the rules-based global order actually is. It entirely relies on continuous state consent.
Yeah, it doesn't exist independently. It only lives as long as states actively agree to keep the system alive.
So to wrap up, if physical infrastructure networks can theoretically be used to transmit sovereignty and dissolve borders like this, it really makes you wonder.
Oh, definitely.
How might the rise of entirely decentralized, borderless digital networks eventually rewrite the concept of a state altogether? Something for you to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.